Welcome to the Well at Work podcast from the University of Kentucky Center on Trauma in Children. This podcast is brought to you by a grant from SAMHSA. On this episode, Emily Smith discusses the effects of increased digital media use among adolescents during COVID-19 and gives some tips for managing media consumption.
Hello, I'm Emily Smith from the University of Kentucky Center on Trauma in Children. So much has changed as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic for both adults and children. We rapidly adapted to changing conditions to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe. This limited social contact reduced transmission of COVID-19 before safe and effective vaccines were available. Digital media use skyrocketed as we all transitioned to become virtual workers, students, and friends. COVID has changed the way that adolescents use digital media, and we are beginning to understand what impact this has made on their sleep and well-being. A study released in July of 2021 in the journal General Hospital Psychiatry suggests that the mental health and well-being of adolescents was impacted by the increased use of technology and social media during the COVID pandemic. In the study, American youth aged 13 to 17 were asked about their technology use. They were also asked to self-report anxiety or depressive symptoms and well-being before and during COVID-19 shutdowns. The authors found that the adolescents who increased screen time during the pandemic, specifically time spent on social media, watching TV or movies, or playing video games, reported increased anxiety and depressive symptoms. Many of the adolescents reported using media as a coping method. Screen time, especially closer to bedtime, can reduce the quality and quantity of sleep children get. The American Academy of Pediatrics recommends adolescents get 8 to 10 hours of sleep per night to prevent poor mood, emotional dysregulation, and risk of increased self-harm. Sleep deprivation is common for adolescents and has been shown to impact academic performance and attention span and may increase the risk of depression. Lack of sleep may lead to long-term health consequences that increase the risk of obesity, cardiovascular disease, and diabetes. Experts recommend caregivers help children maintain healthy sleep habits with a nighttime routine and limited interruption from TVs or smartphones. The blue light emitted by smartphones, computers, and TVs can disturb sleep by blocking a hormone called melatonin, which makes you sleepy. Blue light also promotes alertness and regulates the sleep-wake cycle, known as the circadian rhythm. Children are particularly susceptible to this. Exposure to blue light suppresses twice as much melatonin in children as in adults. That's why the AAP recommends limiting screen time to at least 30 minutes before bed to reduce potential sleep disruptions. COVID restrictions led many adolescents to look online for social and emotional support, and many found creative ways to address the challenges and stresses, like my friend Lydia and her teenager James. James was online for school, fun, and social time during the 2020-2021 school year. Lydia was concerned when he said that virtual school was only 4 hours per day, but he was online for many more hours than that. When Lydia and James talked about screen time limits, he explained that he was doing social media for a local nonprofit that linked single parents to limited resources. They agreed that the work was important, but set up a media plan with a device curfew and set a maximum number of hours of screen time per day. James was able to continue the work he found rewarding while managing these limits, but not every teen or tween will be able to. Here's some tips to help your child. Tip 1. Make a family media plan. If you find that your child has trouble sleeping or their mood has been impacted by excessive screen time, you may want to make some changes to build healthy technology use habits. The American Academy of Pediatrics has a family media planner. It lets you create a custom plan, which includes screen-free zones, device curfews, and screen-free times. These plans can be customized for all ages. Make time for a family meeting to address changes together. Tip 2. Model healthy habits. Your child is more likely to adopt new screen habits if they see adults doing it. If you find yourself checking your phone during family dinner or endlessly scrolling during your weekly movie night, your teen is less likely to change their habits. Commit to the same behavior changes you ask your teen to, you'll both benefit. Tip 3. Trade bad habits for good ones. Research has shown that we can change behavior by identifying what triggers our behavior, addressing that behavior, and then establishing a new behavior to create lasting change. Talk with your teen to determine what leads them to reach for their phone or turn on the gaming console. Then give them ways to address that, and work with them to reinforce a new behavior. For example, they may tell you they want to hang out with friends, so they go online to play a multiplayer game. Work with them to make a list of alternate ways to have social time. Schedule in-person social time when possible, phone calls when it isn't. They may find the reward of spending time with friends is enough to reinforce the behavior, but you may find you need to provide additional positive reinforcements to create lasting change. Tip 4. Make time for physical activity. Screen time shouldn't replace physical activity. It is widely recommended that children and adults get 60 minutes of activity per day, and short bursts of exercise provide the same benefits as a longer workout. Institute a household policy of 5 minutes of activity per hour of screen time. Sometimes those 5 minutes away from the screen can also be a trigger to move on to another activity and not return to the screen. Another benefit. Tip 5. Know when to ask for help. Problematic internet use can result in physical, behavioral, and emotional issues and is beyond just spending too much time online. If your child's screen time has impacted their mood and they don't seem to enjoy things they once did, talk with their pediatrician or a trusted mental health provider. Find additional resources and a link to the American Academy of Pediatrics Family Media Planner in the episode notes.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the podcast. Follow the link in the video description for more resources on our Well at Work website. And of course, stay tuned for more episodes on topics that will keep you well at work, home, and school.